What do you think is the influence Rogan and Musk have in flipping votes? So, just 2, 3, 4 years ago, Joe Rogan endorsed Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever the timeline was. Elon Musk voted for Joe Biden just 3 years ago. Now, both of them are saying to save the country, you have to vote Republican. And not even that. Joe went as far as saying, I would vote for Trump, okay? I would vote for Trump. Let me read the story, and then you guys can give me your number. And, folks, if you're listening to this, I want you to put your answer as well. Some of you guys watch the podcast, so you know what they said, but I want to hear your answer. I would vote for Donald Trump. Joe Rogan opposes Joe Biden's cabinet run the world's most powerful country. I would vote for Trump before I would vote for Biden. The thing with Biden is he's gone. You know he's gone. You're going to be relying on his cabinet, and I knew his cabinet would be a sideshow of diversity. You can't have those kinds of people running a Ben & Jerry's. You certainly can't have those kinds of people running the effing most powerful country in the world has ever known. It's nuts, said Joe Rogan on his podcast. Okay? So now, Joe, the number one podcast in the world, Elon Musk, runs Twitter, richest man in America, most powerful guy in America, the way he is doing what he's doing with social media and technology. If they say vote Republican with Elon's 140 million followers, Joe Rogan's podcast, how many votes can they flip? How many votes can they flip? Actual influence.
Out of how many?
So all you have to do is you have to say, 100,000 of their votes that they would follow their lead to go a libertarian like Joe Jorgensen or a Democrat to now saying I'm going to vote for Trump because Joe Rogan said vote for Trump because Elon Musk said vote for Trump. If these guys smarter than me are saying something like this, I should consider it. How many think will flip? I'm going to go to you first.
I mean, I think, like percentage-wise?
No, number. Because remember, Trump lost 75 to 81 million.
Wow.
Okay? Yeah. Trump lost 75 to 81. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes.
75 to 81 million.
Yeah.
So how many of that will flip just because of Joe Rogan and Elon Musk?
Wow. 10 to 15 million. What? Is that bad? Attitude of people going, you know what, Joe Rogan's telling me.
Let me see what Tom thinks. What do you think?
It's a lot?
I want to see what Tom thinks.
You asked the number of votes last, and what I had done is of the 12% indies, I think Rogan can move 2 of those percentage points, and I think Elon can move 4. That's
a big number.
So I'm saying
how big is that compared to numbers?
I'm saying if you give each of them 2 and 2 of the 12 indies in the middle, I think Rogan and Elon, if they were on the same side, they'd move 2 each. I think you could move 4%.
So how many million?
Go to 2020 total independent voters. Total independent voters in 2020 election.
Yeah, you just take the total voters and do 43 and 43, and everybody else is in the middle.
Total election.
So how many people voted? It was like 156?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
150, 75, and 81. So 75 and 81 is
156. So the middle was probably 20 million right there in the middle. 15 and half of 15 is 7. So, yeah. I would say that's probably 20
And when you
million
say, like you're talking about Rogan and Elon going, hey, guys, listen, do not vote Democrat. 100%
they're
go Republican.
going to be going
100%.
aggressively.
Remember, they don't say it once. They go over and over and over.
They
and
are
over
super concerned about what's going to be happening. These guys will be pushing this. I wouldn't be surprised if DeSantis is on Rogan's podcast in the next 3 to 6 months. I wouldn't be surprised if possibly Trump meets with Musk and they have a meeting. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of those things happen after they know who's on the right. So if it's DeSantis has got to be on Rogan's podcast if they haven't already had the conversation. That is a must. But here's the point. Tom, 2 to 4%, think about that number. 2 to 4%, okay? That's a real number. It's not 15 million. 2 to 4% ends up becoming what? 10%, 15 million. So you're saying really the 2 to 4% of the 12% is what you're saying. So not 2 to 4% of the 15.
2 to 4 points of those 14 points.
2 to 4 points of those 14 points.
Correct.
So 2 to 4 points of the, let's just use the number 3. Okay? 3 of 14. So let's do 156. What's 156 times 14%?
Well, every 1% is 1.56.
So what is that times 14? That's what I'm saying. So if we do
2.1
21,
million.
22.
5, 6 times
I said
2.1.
50 million.
21 is what you're doing.
Yeah, like 21 people that are honestly in the middle, and that's your swing that we've all know about.
Which is 14% or 13%?
Right around there.
Okay, let's just say 13%.
Yeah.
So that's 20 million. Okay. 20 million, you got 2% is 4 million. That's not enough. But 3%, it's game over. Okay. You know what Clay Travis and Buck Sexton said? He said only 100,000.
No, he said 1 million.
No, they said 100,000. Can you, Rob, do you remember if it was 100,000 or 1 million?
I don't remember.
Can you, while we're doing this, is there a way you can find to see what they said?
Well,
See if you can. I remember them saying 100,000.
let me give you a little different perspective. The what do they call the general population, or when you win the
General election?
population? What is it called? Not when you win the electoral college. When you win
popular
the
vote.
popular vote. There you
Yeah.
go. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
That to me is irrelevant. It's irrelevant because you're not going to swing 5 million voters or 10 million voters, even 2 million voters. You need to swing 100,000 voters.
In Wisconsin.
Find me
Another
11,000 votes in Georgia. We all know what happened there. Okay. Find me 20,000 votes in Wisconsin. Find me 10,000 votes in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they
Find
said
me
100,000.
Did they say
Yeah.
that? Okay. So that's essentially what it comes down to. Whatever the swing states are, we all know that it's 51-49. It's 50.6 to 49.4. It's so close. It's so razor thin that you don't need to swing millions. Either side, by the way. You need these swing states, these swing cities, these districts that can go either way. That's who you need to flip.
And by the way, we saw in Florida in the gubernatorial election what happens when the independents break 72%. The independents broke 72 for DeSantis, and you go take a look at the map. Everything was red except Broward and the small county on the south side of Orlando, correct?
Correct. And it's the same thing that happened in 2016. Those same independents broke for Trump because Hillary wasn't campaigning in the blue states or on the blue wall. And the same thing happened in 2020 when all those same voters broke for Biden. So the independents are where it's at. We all know that preaching to the choir is a losing argument.
The true independents follow what Rogan and Musk have to say. The true independents follow what the libertarians and the independents follow what Rogan and Musk have to say.
Fully agree with that.
So
fully agree.
So to me, when Clay Travis and Buck Sexton said 100,000, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a bigger number than that. Tom, if it's 3%, I don't think it's 3%, but I don't think it's 100,000. But if those two go and they support it the way they do, I don't know.
They could change the tide.
Oh my God.
Oh, here's what I was considering. You want to know what I was considering there? What I was considering was I remember what happened with Rush Limbaugh and Newt Gingrich. I remember what happened. And remember that wave that came up and bit Clinton really hard. That was like Rush demonstrating the power, of the medium of the time. Now I look at it and I see what happened with the Tea Party. And so, Pat, it takes a few voices, but if the voices are a wave, it's not just Rogan. It's Rogan's influence base, and it's the people that are in that influence base that are influencing others as well. Because, right? Yeah, see, I doubt the GOP would have won the House in '94 without Rush Limbaugh. And that was, what was Gingrich? What did he call that? Contract with America? Was that what it's called? I think it was his new thing. Anyway, regardless of what it was called, the point was there was a spark that pushed this thing over fast. And the same thing happened with Tea Party. So when things get tough and there's a real stark choice, America voters can be moved.
What a point you just made. Listen to this. Without Rush, I doubt if we would have won the control of the House in 1994 because he clarified the issues. Gingrich explained. He gave our candidates arguments to run on. He created a huge number of people. His impact was more than the 20 million listeners a week. It was all the people they would go talk to.
Wow.
My guess is that the ripple effect of Rush was more than 80 to 90 million. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying with Rogan and Musk. That's exactly what I think this is going to be bigger. I think this is going to be if Trump or DeSantis can win those two guys, which DeSantis, they've both won over. I mean, he's won both of them over, Both of them. Their team, DeSantis, is where they are. Obviously, Musk doesn't want somebody older than 70. His number was 69, even younger than that. So and not,
He
not
loves that 69.
His 69 is more because anything to be less than 70. Anyways, okay, so we'll see. I think it's going to be a bigger number. I think I fully see that part where you're training the trainers to go out there and talk. Like we're having a meeting in 2 weeks in Dallas. 3,000 people are going to show up. It's called Train the Trainers. That meeting, when they leave, it turns into 50 to 100,000 insurance policies. We didn't sell any policies that week.
Wow.
We trained the trainers to go and find them. Now we have 350, nearly 400,000 policies we've written in the last 13 years, right? So that is the effect of what they leave and what they do. Okay.
And it's not just really fast. But it's kind of weird that we would need those people in the middle need that influence from Musk or Rogan. When can't they just open their eyes and see what's happening and how horrible this administration did?
But here's the difference. Think about how much people go and say, I need a Oprah Winfrey endorsement. But actually think about how Oprah Winfrey endorsed Fetterman.
Yeah.
Here's how she endorsed him. She says, look, I know Oz is somebody that's worked with me for many years, and I know everybody's expecting me to support Oz, but I'm supporting Fetterman. I think he's a good guy. I think he's this. Versus the difference between the way she endorses and Rush or Elon or Rogan endorses says the following. Listen, I have a heart. Look at Rogan. What did Rogan say? Rogan said what? How did Rogan explain why he would vote for
Trump?
Said the shit show in the cabinet.
He said, I would vote for this because you're going to be relying on his cabinet. And I knew his cabinet would be a sideshow of diversity. You can't have those kinds of people running a Ben & Jerry's. You certainly can't have those kinds of people running a country, the most powerful country in the world. So that is an issue he's given to say it was so much about diversity that you didn't pick the best leaders for the job, right? So the average person listens to that and says, that's kind of right. You just chose diversity. You can have that. So the way Oprah does it is, yes, I support, it's great, versus the way these guys are going to do it is it's going to be issue-driven. If it's issue-driven, kiss it goodbye. Goes to the Newt Gingrich story with Rush Limbaugh, 80 to 90 million.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.